Welcome everybody again for another episode of
La Tertulia
with myself, Clayton Davis, and
Jada.
we're back with another episode here to give you guys an update on what we've been working on, and also have a special surprise. A little bit, we'll get to that in just a moment here. We are welcoming our first guest of the podcast on today. So just real quick, we wanted to give you an idea of what we've been working on. Just give me a moment while I cue up the right clip here. And thank you all to everyone who's been very patient on awaiting their orders. Again, as we've mentioned in the past, we make everything in small batches. We have been moving to a new apartment out of the city and into a new apartment. You might notice the set's a little bit different this time. And thank you again for being patient with all of that stuff. And we're looking to ship out orders tomorrow. And in the meantime, we recorded a quick clip of what our production looks like. Oh, say hi to Adrinson, everybody.
Yay!
We'll get to a proper introduction soon. My apologies there. Proper introduction soon. My apologies there. So here's an idea of what, let me turn this down slightly, what it looks like. We crammed about 2 hours of production into a 90-second clip here, what it looks like in the Jibarita's kitchen. And what are you working on here? It looks like a batch of the deep conditioner.
No, I was doing the detangler actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going through I think 10 orders or 11 orders of the detangler. And yeah, that's what I was cruising in the orders. I was panicking because I wasn't able to do the product before because of all this craziness of moving. I started school, I started a new job, I started a new internship. Things are picking up really fast.
It's a very busy girl.
I know, always overachiever, you know. So yeah, but hey, I tackled that this weekend, and thank you so much for your patience. Orders are, like Clayton said, they're gonna ship out tomorrow. So keep posted in social media.
And along with those orders, we will be shipping out the product that is being awarded to the winners of our first ever giveaway.
Yes.
So congratulations to our 2 winners. And we are looking to make more detailed production videos to give you an idea, a better idea, I should say, of what it looks like when mostly Jada is in the kitchen. Like I said before, I'm pretty much only good for dishes.
Well, you're very, very helpful.
So, okay, well, with that, let me switch back here. It is time to introduce our wonderful guest, Adrinson. And I guess at this point, I'm going to leave it to you guys to talk about your background a little bit, since you know each other from back home, right?
Yes, we've been friends.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, say hi to everyone, Adrinson.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Clayton and Jada, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to me to be here.
Absolutely.
And for those who may not know you, where are you calling us from in Puerto Rico?
San Juan, Puerto Rico right now.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
How are things are going back home? I haven't been home in 2 years. How things are going?
You ever been here, Clayton?
No, I've only seen pictures, and especially old San Juan looks so beautiful, man. It looks really nice. And
it is.
When I first met Jada, I was a big fan of Hawaiian beaches. But after everything she's shown me, I think you guys may have them beat with the beaches too.
Yeah.
So you've been to Hawaii?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I have. And island culture, I'm sure there's some similarities. But yeah, I can't.
Might be, yeah.
I can't wait to make it out. It looks beautiful.
Pero plátano, you know.
Plátano.
Jada can show you around. Jada's been everywhere around here.
I know, right? I've been in all parts of the island. I told you those stories before. So Adrinson, we've known each other for years and years. 7th grade?
7th grade actually.
A long time. So tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you go to school? What did you do? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, so I met Jada in Escuela del Deporte, which is a sports school in Old San Juan. So I was a table tennis player.
Oh, nice.
That Jada was judoka.
That's
Yes,
why I'm so careful.
Yes, you need to be careful, man. I promise.
Yeah, I'll
So
be flying through a
I
window.
went there after that I left to a baseball academy. I grew up playing sports, so pretty much been I mean I was in sports like all my teenage life until 18 when I graduated. I went to Kansas, to Iola, Kansas, to my first college year, and after that I came back to San Juan where I met photography. Well, actually, I got into photography in Kansas
Oh.
because when I went there, I was supposed to play baseball, and I got an arm injured. So in the meantime, while I couldn't play, I experimented with photography, and I fell in love. Never came back to baseball, and when I came back here to Puerto Rico. I I started studying advertising, and I didn't like so much the ad world, so I was like, let's give a full chance to photography, and that's what I did. I graduated this year from my bachelor's in photography in
Congratulations.
Universidad Sagrado Corazón. And right now, I'm working as a freelance photographer and videographer. And for those of you that don't know yet, I made the Jibarita's Corners pictures.
Yes, yes. So we've been trying to get those posts out there. Let me quickly tab over to your website here. Well, first of all, if we just this little self plug here, let's take a look at these beautiful photos. I mean, come on,
Seriously.
that's great.
You cannot beat that. Like, look at those pictures.
And honestly, I was expecting you to say that you'd been taking photos for much longer. That's a really cool story of how you came to the
Yes.
hobby. That's the best time to pick something up, when you get kind of knocked on your butt, for lack of
Oh.
a better term.
I think I've been taking pictures for 4 years now. 5 years, and 4 of them I went to school to study photography.
Wow, that's that. And I'm not sure if you can see on the screen here if what I'm screen sharing, but I'm
No,
just
I cannot see right now.
okay. I apologize, but we're just
What are you
scrolling through the homepage of your website here, just trying to show
Okay.
the people some of your work. It looks like you've done some portrait work, maybe some album art, even, and food stuff. I mean, do
Yes,
you have a? Oh, go ahead.
I like I've been, I think at my first job was in Kansas. It was in the cafeteria, and after that, when I came to Puerto Rico, I started studying. I started working on restaurants. So most of my working life has been around food. And when I came here to Puerto Rico and started working on restaurants, I fell in love with the food culture here and in restaurants, especially in Santurce, because I was where my college was on Santurce, which is like the biggest el barrio más grande,
it's like the biggest neighborhood. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
it's like-
and it's super hipster as well.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's why you love it.
Artsy culture, very nice.
it's artsy and it's ghetto at the same time.
Yes.
So it's perfect. It's the best mix. So
Pilsen's coming to mind. I don't know.
so, and also in Santurce, a lot of I mean, in Puerto Rico, there's a lot of Dominican immigrants, and most of them live in Santurce. So we also have the influence of Dominican food, which is great. I mean, Dominican food is awesome.
Seriously.
And when I started into food culture, I decided to also take pictures about food because I've known the industry for a while and I love it so much. So I've done that, and also portraiture. And it was funny because at the beginning, I also do a lot of photojournalism. I love photojournalism, but when I got into photography, I was like, I'm not gonna do no portraits or any of that stuff. That's too mainstream or whatever. But then I learned that, I mean, portraits are also, it's also photojournalism through people's faces. You know, you get to meet their story through their faces, and so I've done a little bit about that too.
Wow, yeah, that's really interesting, and I like being able to tell, or the idea of telling a story through a portrait. And
Yes.
I mean, you can see that some of these are captioned here in your homepage, but some of them aren't, and they definitely, you get an idea of what the person might have for an occupation, or what they might be about, or what their aesthetic is like. And
Yes.
especially this last one, it's like it's a guy with dark hair and a white shirt on like a white staircase.
Okay. Yes.
You know that one? That's framed really well, and has a very island vibe. So I think
that was so fun. That was my girlfriend's best friend. I met him the day before that. He came from California.
nice.
And I met him like the day before, and Veronica, she told him like, "Oh, my boyfriend's a photographer. You should do some collab with him." And like the next day, I got to the hotel where he was staying, and we had no plans. We went to the rooftop, and we said like, we may take some pictures here. They might look nice. And I love that picture right there.
His outfit like matches the sky. That's pretty cool. Couldn't have
he
planned it better.
Yeah, he's a designer, so he has a great sense of fashion. You can tell by the picture.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. Yeah, and one other question here I had about just maybe when you got started in photography in Kansas, because I had an iPhone 6 for the longest time.
That was my first camera.
Okay, so there you go. And I basically cracked the lens on that and didn't take pictures for like 4 or 5 years, and then I got a new iPhone, and I'm kind of amazed at how good even the pictures are on that.
Oh,
so
yes.
You kind of answered my question already.
New ones are crazy. Those are crazy.
That's interesting. That's cool.
Like,
so you don't have the photo snob attitude about it. That's cool.
Yes, it's it's funny because a lot of photographers, you learn that in school. Like a lot of photographers are so bitter about the phones because like, oh my God, now everybody thinks a photographer, and I'm like, guess what? They are. I mean, those are great.
Awesome.
And I'm happy about that, because my first camera was an iPhone. So that's how I learned that I love pictures so much, and that's what gave me the confidence to say like, I can do this because those look great. So maybe if phones didn't exist, I couldn't afford a very expensive camera, and I would never get into photography at all. So I think, I mean, now iPhones are not so cheap either,
Right.
But you can finance them, and you can get like a really low pay. Like a lot of people have a smartphone now, so yeah, it's like they call it like the democracy of the profession, like everybody can get into it.
That's awesome.
And I'm not bitter about that at all.
That's cool.
And the concepts of framing and composure and everything still apply.
Yeah. And so many applications that you can learn. Like I used Visco when I started 5 years ago, and that's
I remember.
You remember that?
I remember that face. Oh yeah.
Like Visco, I learned how to edit. I learned how to make photojournals. I learned to get into a community, because it's a photographers community too. That's a great place to start, and also like professionals still use it.
Sure. That's awesome. And you kind of mentioned some of your photojournalism a minute ago, but let me just pull up a different page of your website here. If you wanted to pull it up on your end as well, I'm sure you're familiar with the pictures, but
Yes.
I wouldn't call myself a photographer, but we do kind of share a project in that I helped Jaira to cover the Ricky Renuncia protests
Oh, really?
that were
That's-
happening in Chicago.
In Chicago, yeah.
So,
Oh, that's nice.
and I'm looking at some of your work here, and I mean, it's just awesome stuff. The black Puerto Rican flag over the highway sign just looks so nice with the vignette and the cowbell and everything. You kind of, I wish I could read a little bit of the captions. We're pretty far away from the screen, pretty DIY setup here, but I'll just scroll to show. And of course, everybody, Adrinson's Instagram and website and Facebook will be linked in the description. Please go check this stuff out yourself.
Please check his work. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's exquisite. Please check it out.
It looks really nice. And
that journal that got published in the one of the universities here, Ana Jiménez, in their magazine that got published. And my girlfriend, she's an editor and a writer, so she helped me edit that essay, and we got published. It was my first. It was very exciting.
Wow.
Tú puedes ver todo el sentimiento. Sorry que I switch into Spanish, pero puedes ver el sentimiento, el coraje, la frustración del pueblo.
Sí, en verdad se trata de. It's mostly about the weapons that we use. So that's the name, Weapons of Resistance, and because it was a peaceful. I mean, it was fairly peaceful protest because nobody died in it. I mean, there was pepper spray, there was punching and whatever, but there was no like big violence. I mean, maybe somebody that got like a rubber bullet listened to me, he'd be like, "What do you mean there was no violence?"
I got shot.
But you know, I mean, protests in other countries, they get really violent, and since here it wasn't that violent, I wanted to highlight those weapons that we use, because there was other kinds of weapons that we use and they were effective.
Oh,
Ya está.
no. ¿Qué?
Que los escuchaba, pero no los veía, pero
Ya
ya
lo
los veo.
ven. Okay, cool.
Okay. My
Oh,
apologies.
by the way, I want to say,
Oh,
I have my detangler on.
Oh, yeah? Oh, that's why your hair looks so fire.
It's
Yeah.
looking fly.
That's why it looks so good. I have my detangler on.
I used the conditioner bar a couple minutes ago. We all got our Jibarita's corner in. That's good stuff.
Yes, you know, because Vero, she buys like hair products like every 2 weeks. She's a freak about hair products, and she used to tell me like, you know, I have my curly hair. And I'm like, you have no curly hair. You have like wavy hair. You're no curly hair. She's like, I do. And I have never saw her with a curly hair. Well, as soon as she used the Jibarita's corner, her hair was so curly. And she was like, I told you it was. I told you I had curly hair.
Wow.
I don't want to brag, but I did that.
It just needed a little bit of encouragement.
Yeah.
Seriously, because majority of the time, I don't know what I'm doing. So this kind of feedback is amazing. So thank you.
Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you mean you don't know what you're doing?
I mean,
she's
it's
too
just
humble.
this entrepreneurial journey is just weird. To be honest, it's super weird. Like there's no manual to be an entrepreneur.
Right. Yes. There's not.
Yeah, and I mean, sorry, I wish we hadn't gotten a call in the middle of that of the discussion about the Ricky Renuncia, but I just wanted to say too that I thought the documentation of I mean, it was perfect that you were talking about the weapons of the Puerto Rican people used, because I had a picture up on screen of a guy with a Puerto Rican flag in one hand and a trumpet in the other.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's me, dude. I'm a trumpet player. That's more effective. Anyways,
That was exciting, man. I'm telling you, like, it was crazy because if we live in protest in Puerto Rico. Like, there's protests every month.
Yeah.
Literally, there's a protest every month, and with this government, especially basically every week. But that was crazy. I've never seen so many people together, and as in the United States, the bipartisan government here is the same. Like, there's only reds and blues,
Right.
and they didn't care about that. That was very exciting.
Yeah.
That was great to see. The underwater stuff, the motorcycle cruises, all that was
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
awesome. So
Very creative. Puerto Ricans, we are really creative.
Yes, very.
when you decided to go and really kind of commit to being a freelance photographer, what were some of the, I guess, small business things or entrepreneur questions that came up that you didn't necessarily expect? I mean, did you have to? Your website looks great, by the way. It looks like you made it on Wix. I was considering that
Yeah,
for
it
ours
is.
too.
It's on Wix.
It's great. But I mean, was there any random challenges that came up that or things that have been hard to continue, like marketing?
Yeah. There's still so many, because I think if you're a photographer, the only way that you are not freelancing is if you're working with a newspaper.
Oh,
And most newspaper photographers are also freelancers. But it's like I knew from the start that it was gonna be a career that I would have to make it on my own, and I didn't know what will be the challenges. How am I gonna attract clients? How am I gonna make a living of this? It's still very challenging, but definitely, like, I think the most challenging part is the financial stuff. Like, you need to calculate, like, your taxes, like all of that stuff. That's not like Jada says, there's like no manual for that. You need to check it on your own. You need to ask other photographers that make a living of that. You need to speak with people who have been on the field and they've lived off photography for many years. So I think, like, the responsibility of having a self-employment, I think that's the most challenging part.
right. And I mean, if it's something you enjoy, it's probably not too hard to keep yourself on task.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
but maybe the other stuff is more challenging, like keeping customers and things like that.
There's so many stuff. Like, for example, if you need, like, relevos de responsabilidad. Yo no sé cómo se dice eso.
Like, espérate, ¿cómo se dice relevos de responsabilidad en inglés? Like, signing. Oh my god, I have the word on the tip of my tongue.
You're fine.
It's fine. I'll translate it
Yeah.
later. Don't
You
don't
need
worry.
those stuff, like, for so many things. And for example, also, like, if you take a picture of a campaign or something like that, you're supposed to, like, music, you keep earning money from that, like, even when years goes by. But they don't take that as seriously for photographers. So you need to keep reminding people all the time, like, hey, if you're still using that picture, you need to keep paying me my percentage, because you're still making money from that. It's not like something that you buy once and that's yours to keep. So
Wow. Yeah.
but when you're a beginner, that's like, it's hard to have the guts and step up and say that to clients, because you don't want to get cut off, but you need to do it because it's your work, right?
You make a living out of that, so
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I've been around a lot of artists, and sometimes it's the creative types are not the ones to remind people to pay them and stuff like that.
Yes, that's true.
So, but hey, I can tell that you've got the skills to pay the bills, man. You're taking some great photos.
Thank
So,
you, man. Thank you.
I'm sure it's a grind, but
Oh,
but-
it is.
yeah, like I said, everything looks beautiful.
You.
And I just wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit more about the photos before we move to your garden, your awesome garden stuff. But when you were, I like getting in a little window into other creators' minds when they're thinking about a project. So
Okay.
for me, it sounds a little intense, but I'm just curious what your thought process is when you're looking at like the products that we have here.
Yes.
Do you think like colors, or do you think I'm not even really sure. I don't have that background. What kind of stuff do
I
you
guess
think about?
I
How
guess
your
that
mind works.
I guess that every people like they have their own way, right? Their own
Sure.
approach. But for me, it's always the framing. I'm very like detailed about that because it's different when you look through a lens, and all my lenses are like uh, static. They don't zoom.
Okay.
So everything that I like that because that makes me organized before I'm doing a work, because I know that I cannot like just step here and zoom it in and zoom it out and do it however I want. And though it gives you like that flexibility, I like to have my picture in mind before I'm taking it. And that's something I always say, that like I see the pictures before I take them, and I'm not pleased until they look on the camera as I have it on my mind. So that happened with those products, actually, with the Jibarita's corner. I took like a lot of pictures before having those, and when I finally had it, I went like running to Veronica, and I was like, "You see, this is the one that I was talking to you about. That's the one I saw."
Wow.
So, so I tried to see the pictures in my mind before taking them. But for me, it's the framing. So they need to fit into the frame, and I don't have a full frame camera, so it makes it even harder because full frame cameras are like very expensive, and I haven't had a chance to get one of those yet. But
That's why you got to support your small businesses, people.
yes, full frames, I mean, the sensor is bigger, so if more things fit into the frame. And when you have like a quarter frame or half frame, you need to be like more detailed about framing stuff. So that's what I try to do. For example, with the Reiki Renuncias pictures, I was like in the middle of the protest, and I saw people around me with la ollas and with their banners and everything, and trumpets, whatever. And it got to me like right there. I was like, everybody's using different weapons.
Right.
So, but I had a 50 millimeter camera lens, which is like very short. It's like the zoom is very short, so I had to get like very close to people to do that.
Mm.
But so as soon as I saw that, I knew I was I was going to like stalk people, like stand in front of them, like. But I saw it in my mind before I took the pictures.
It's really interesting how your kind of brain works when it comes to photography, and how there's like logistics involved. Like there's
Yeah.
not only like me paro aquí, tiré la foto, se acabó lo que se daba. Like there's some planning behind it.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
interesting too with the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you need to. I mean, if any photographer who's watching this, or any person who's into taking pictures, it's good to study like people's works. I love watching photo journals and getting into either Pinterest or Instagram, and following people that I like who take pictures, because they give you a different perspective. I'm not a big fan of colors. I mean, in my pictures, but I love people who have a lot of colors in their pictures. So maybe if I ever see a scenario that has a lot of color, I have in my mind like, oh, maybe I can do something like this person who works colors because he or she is good at it.
Yeah, para qué reinventar la rueda.
Yes, that's true.
And that's interesting what you said too about having the fixed lenses kind of forces you to do a little bit more of the work yourself. I come from a music background, and that's like a song being in a certain key. You know, you can't just play anything you want. You have to sort of stay within some boundaries to make it look good, so or sound good or whatever. So that's kind of an interesting. I never even heard the terms full frame and half frame, so I learned something today.
Yes.
That's awesome. And I really like that you're so willing to share your knowledge with people that might be...
Of course.
I mean, I haven't seen... I don't know if there's been a time when people have been picking up more hobbies than during this coronavirus lockdown. Yes. So
you wanted to talk about the garden, and I started that in the coronavirus. Like that was my hobby in coronavirus, and it's turning like something that I do every day.
Okay, yeah, perfect. You're a natural, man. Right to my next bullet point. So now we're gonna. I'd love to hear about your garden because same thing here. We had a little bit of a vegetable garden when I was growing up. My mom would grow cucumbers and raspberries and stuff. Then I fell off and never really did it because mostly I was living in the city for school and for work afterwards, and I kind of believed the false. I guess just I assumed falsely that you couldn't grow any vegetables in the city, but we started a pretty nice little vegetable garden in the city, and so I guess what spurred you to start growing food?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Oh, that's okay. What was there something in particular that made you want to start your own garden?
Well,
instead of picking up the guitar or another hobby?
Well, I had picked the guitar before, and I'm not good at it.
How about the cuatro?
I mean, I think I don't have the patience to play the guitar.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, I admire people who and you know what I do a lot? Like when I listen to songs that I like so much, I get mad. Like, why I didn't invent that song? And then it's like, right, because you don't play no music. Feeling. That's why you didn't invent it. or that happens to me a lot. You know, I used to have, when I started listening to Cultura Profética, it's a reggae band.
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar now because of her. I love them.
¿Qué tú te crees?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a big fan of their old music. I like their new music, but their old music, that's like the shit. That's the best.
Yep.
So, his lead singer, he writes so beautifully, and I listen to a lot of songs like, why didn't I write that, man?
Moldio.
I feel just the same. But what made me get into the garden instead of anything else, like I told you, I used to live in an apartment in Santurce. It was very little, and I've always liked plants because I had this. It was a 2-room apartment. I lived with one of my best friends, but my room had a balcony, and I started planting there. And I had like beautiful plants, beautiful flowers. So I guess I've always been like into plants. And my grandmother, she loved plants. She loved planting. My mom too. They did have like a little garden here because where I live right now was my mom's house. So they used to have a garden here, but it wasn't nothing like so organized. They basically they threw seeds around and whatever, and things grew. Like really, they had tomatoes that they threw in the backyard, and they have tomato plants.
Wow, really fertile.
Back home. Yeah, I think every grandma and mom back home are into gardening, like unconsciously.
Yeah.
Yes, but Puerto Rico, that's something I've noticed. Like now that I'm into gardening, I was telling Jada about that. that I see videos in YouTube all the time, and obviously not all videos are in Puerto Rico. So I've noticed that Puerto Rico has very fertile soil. Like it's a very very fertile island because some people on the videos, and also we don't have the seasons. I mean, we do have the seasons, but it's always summer. Like it's always sunny, it's always fresh, it's always hot.
No
It
snow.
never
You're
really
making her jealous.
No
over here.
snow.
no
fall.
snow. It never gets cold. Like literally never gets cold. Like coldest, the coldest you can get in San Juan, like exaggerating, it might be like 70 degrees. I don't think that happens.
Oh.
Really.
Yeah, and like
I don't
even
think
en
that
el
would
campo. En el campo
Yeah.
is like maybe in the 60s, like in the
Yeah, but
country.
in the mountain, it gets like into the 60s, and for us, that's so cold. That's
Yeah.
like, oh my god, I was just in Ay Bonito. It was so cold. Oh my god, it was like 68 degrees.
Oh no.
Coldest day in the year.
That's what I miss the most.
But yes, it's very fertile, and so and during coronavirus, I don't know, I don't remember like actually how I started it, but first thing that I got into was compost. Compost was my thing. I had a
Wow.
friend that was already composting. He told me some tricks, and I'm really into sustainability, and I've been a vegetarian for 3 years now.
Oh, wow, okay.
I'm very aware of climate change, so composting was a way of recycling, and that's what I loved the most. But then I was like, if I'm gonna have compost, I need something to plant with this compost. And basically, I started planting the own seeds from the vegetables I eat. I like
Wow.
watch on YouTube how to dry them and how to plant them, and I started like having some stuff, and then I got obsessed with it, and I'm very obsessed with it now. Like
Sounds
I'm
familiar.
I have my own garden here, but I'm also making a community garden because I live in the place where I live, un redondel.
Yeah, it's
Um,
like a round.
A cul-de-sac? Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Eso.
Gotcha.
And like in the middle of it, where all neighbors live, there's a big like we call it an island. It's like a very green space.
Sure.
It's just grass, and neighbors really don't do anything with it. So I decided that, I mean, first I asked neighbors if they were okay with it. They say yes, and now I wake up every day at 5 in the morning to like get the grass off, prepare the soil, start planting, and
I
right
love
now
that,
it's
dude.
like on baby steps, but we're making it. And the reason why I made it was for neighbors to get involved, because it happens a lot here in San Juan that neighbors don't know each other. You just know like your neighbor from the side of your house, but we don't really know each other as a community. And I said like I want the community to get involved. It's important because I mean it makes like no sense that if if you need a psychologist, if you need a veterinary, if you need whatever help you need, you don't need to go so far because you live in a community.
Yes.
You can help each other. And it was like, but we don't know each other, so we cannot do that. So we need first to make those connections. And I think the garden is a way to do it.
Man,
Just blew his mind.
you want to move next door, bro? That's.
I'll wake you up at 5 in the morning. Okay?
I love it. I'll be up with you. I've been up to what? Maybe not 5 o'clock, but I've been getting up pretty early to make sure I can water everything early. Wow, though, before I forget everything that you just said, that's amazing stuff, dude. And I just the fact that you weren't content to just grow stuff in your own backyard to feed your family, you're like,
Yeah.
I need to grow this more so my neighbors
Yes.
can not only help but also benefit from it, and then you'll get to know each other. That's really
Make mine
awesome.
look. She's the baby.
Oh.
Me encanta la bandera. Oh my God, did you see with the Puerto Rican flag?
Yeah.
So
man.
how's your garden doing, guys?
YouTube's gonna love the dog. Thank you for putting the dog in frame.
Absolutely.
Before I talk about ours, let's just watch the video that you sent us.
Okay.
I asked Adrinson to record a quick clip of his garden. I haven't seen it yet, so let's take a look. I wish I was screen sharing. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
But all right, let's take a look. Oh, I don't know if I switched over. No, I did not. Thanks for bearing with me, guys.
It's fine. It's a learning curve.
Wow. Really nice green.
Lavanda. This is lavender. This is ginger.
Oh,
This is tomato. This right here is basil. This is garlic. This is turmeric.
nice.
Passion fruit over here.
Ooh.
This is guanábana. I think this is
Rico,
called
guanábana.
soursop.
I tried that about a couple months ago for the first
Nopales.
time.
This
That's good.
cactus is edible. It's really good.
Yeah.
This is medicinal plants. We have mint, and other stuff.
Wow.
This is small peppers. Have some more basil over there.
Just growing right out of
Some
the ground.
oregano.
Yes.
Oregano brujo.
Oh,
Right
wow.
here, this is great for food.
Oregano brujo.
for-
I haven't seen oregano
like
brujo in
for
years.
sauce, like for pizza sauce, it's great. This is another type of basil. This is violet.
That's
this is
great.
purple basil. It's
Basil.
great.
Oh my god, that's
Purple
crazy.
basil. I gotta
This is
look
the
that up.
pumpkin right there.
Whoa, pumpkin. Huge leaves.
These are my beautiful
Oh,
dogs.
was that your compost bin? I think I saw the black bin on the right.
Compost
Yes.
goes in
Oh,
here.
here we go.
This is my baby.
This is why I've been trying to start compost.
Living soil.
I love
Um,
compost. You cannot imagine.
This is pepinos. I forgot how to say pepinos in English.
Cucumber.
Cucumber.
Uh,
There you go.
And here I have some seeds. Everywhere I have seeds.
Nursery section. Cool.
All types.
Wow.
Lemon,
Ah,
plantains,
Plantains. Oh.
that tree's beautiful.
and that's about it.
You're very humble about your garden. That's huge.
That was awesome.
You're
And-
very humble.
And you know, like I love like planting, but I get crazy about it. So so Veronica, she helps me to organize a lot. If it was for me, I think I would have like plants inside of the house, in the toilet, and everywhere. So I mean, she's great with flowers too. We have. I didn't show you like the inside part because we have like a terrace, and there we have no food in there. We only have like plants,
Flowers and stuff.
yeah, like flowers and stuff. But we have a lot, and Vero takes care of flowers like so good.
Wow.
She has a lot of flowers over there.
Man, that sounds so nice, and I can hear the birds in the background now. I could hear them in the background of your video. That just looks great. So, are you guys? Because that's, I've been staring out at a similar sort of common area in our apartment complex that we moved to, and our realtor, our property manager, is going to put a community grill there. But I thought it would also be a really good spot for a community like raised bed or something. So
Yeah.
did you decide to go with raised beds for the community garden?
Eso que son semillero.
Semillero, sí.
No, no. I started like con una sala. I don't know how to say that. I just it was like
And
full of grass.
la tierra.
I just started. Yeah, I plant there. I have it like directly
On the ground.
on the ground. Yes,
Okay.
That's the best way to
and
do it.
I made a huge compost bin for the community too, because I like. I mean, planting is great, and everybody should do it. But I think compost is so important because, like I told you, it's recycling. And here in Puerto Rico, we don't recycle at all. Like, um, they take the recycling bins every 2 weeks, but we have a lot of journalist friends, and they have told us like it's all a lie. They don't. All of the things that you put in your recycling bin, they end up in the trash, and
I've heard the same about Chicago.
that's sad, man. Because we keep making waste that we don't need to. For example, all the grass, all the leaves, all the la rama,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the sticks, everything.
all of that, even paper. Like napkins.
Mm-hmm.
You can compost napkins if they don't have like oil or
Mm-hmm.
something. You can compost those. You can even compost um cartón.
Cardboard?
Yeah, cardboard.
Yeah, like you can compost cardboard, and I don't use it for my food because usually cardboard has like
The ink, right.
yeah, it has the ink, right? So I don't do that. But for example, if you want a flower garden, you can compost the cardboard and you can use that compost for your flowers because you're not
Exactly.
gonna eat that. There's a lot of ways for composting. I sent Jada a link the other day. There's this huge project they're running in Brooklyn. It was community based. It's like a jump start from the own community, and they're even employing people now. They're employing kids to go around the streets and pick up things that you can compost of the trash, and they compost like massively. And basically, what they're doing is taking things out of the waste cycle that we can use. It's not waste.
Yeah, and that's kind of the magic of. I know you mentioned you're vegan, but that's the magic of if you do eat meat, animals are able to take calories that aren't usable to us and convert them into calories that are usable. And
Yeah.
I think composting is sort of the same thing. You can
Yes.
take stuff, and it literally is calories that are just being converted to something that your plants can grow, and eventually you can eat it. That's
And they grow so much stronger and so much healthier. The other day, I used a little bit of my compost, the first compost that was ready, because compost is not that easy. It takes time, and you need to learn how to do it. But it's not a science either. I mean, it is a science, but it's not that hard either. And the other day, I used it on the passion fruit that I planted in the community garden. It's been like 5 days, and it's grown a lot. So
wow.
Wow.
I think it's feeding it. It makes it stronger.
That's like what happens in the forest floor or the jungle
Right.
floor.
That's
So
right.
wow, that's great. And I've also heard because have you heard that guy Curtis Stone on YouTube at all?
No.
Okay, he's a Canadian urban farmer. I think you probably like some of his stuff.
I need to look him up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was him that was talking about this. If not, I'll find the video and send it to you. But they were saying that the big missing link for their garden was actually the animal manure on top of the composting that they were doing, and both parts together, like you're saying, just make it grow so fast. So
Yeah.
I'm like trying to figure out how I can convince my parents to have rabbits or or like a chicken coop in the backyard or something, because the poop is really good stuff for
Yes.
gardens.
Bero's dad, he's a veterinary, and he has a horse and he has goats, and like every time we go up there, because he lives in the middle of Puerto Rico in Ay Bonito,
In the
and
countryside.
Nice.
when we go there, like we pick up some dry poop and we take it back, and that's the strongest like that's like the strongest thing for the soil. And also, but you need to make sure that the animal poop, it's very dry, because if it's still humid, it can have like bacteria, and that kills the plants like really quick. But if it's well dried, it's very good for the soil.
That's interesting. Yeah, I had no idea. So that's really cool, and it sounds like you really know what you're talking about. And if you just started learning past couple months, that's really
Yes,
impressive.
because YouTube.
YouTube University. It's
Yeah.
it's a
And
real
also,
thing.
you know, I got into masterclass. I'm pretty sure you've watched masterclass, like the ads.
Sure. Yeah.
So I got the masterclass, and it was a pretty good deal. I saw it like as as an investment, because it's $180 for a whole year. So I thought it was great. You have like all the classes, the whole year for $180.
I'm sure there's
And
photo stuff too.
I saw this guy called Ron Finley, and he's the bomb. I mean, he's one of the guys that inspired me the most, because he was doing just the same in Los Angeles. So he calls himself the. I'm sorry. He calls himself the gangster gardener. And what he did is he took empty lots in Los Angeles, and he started planting there, like everywhere. And he plants food everywhere. Like if he plants inside old shoes that he don't use, he
Wow.
plants in shopping carts. He plants everywhere. He's turning Los Angeles into a whole garden, and he gives this master class, which I learned a lot from that too. But basically, what he talks about the planting revolution, which is taking our power back, because I mean, obviously we cannot plant everything if we live in the city. We cannot have everything, and if you eat meat, and even more, like you're not gonna have a cow, or
Right.
Right. Yeah.
or
yeah.
kill a cow every 2 months or something like that. I don't know, but you can plant a lot of stuff that you can eat in your own house that you don't need to buy, and at the same time you're making sure that's healthier. So that's better.
Right. I mean, if you focus on calorie dense stuff like beans and potatoes and things like that, you can actually grow a good chunk of your own diet.
Yeah, for sure.
And one last gardening thing I wanted to ask is, or I guess just sort of food culture, supply chain culture. One of the things that we've been talking about on this show is shortening our supply chains and trying to. It's just like what you're saying with removing things from the waste cycle, just taking more things that we consume back and regaining control of them. It sounds like that's exactly the same kind of mentality that you have. I lost my question.
Ya aparecerá.
Oh, yes. Okay, sorry. So, as a part of the coronavirus stuff around here, farmers markets were closed for a long time, and they are now starting to reopen. But I know that a lot of we had a really cold spring here, so a lot of the farmers had to replant, and they are off schedule. So the farmers markets are kind of off kilter. Do you guys have a lot of farmers markets nearby you, and is that where you buy most of your produce?
Do you know what a farmer's market is?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, I know what a farmer's market is, but well, we go, Veronica and me, we go to the supermarket, but we also go to like Plaza del Mercado. So what we do is we try to buy the stuff that you cannot find in La Plaza del Mercado in the supermarket,
Right.
and the things that you can in La Plaza del Mercado. But we also like to buy every now and then too, because I don't know how it's in Chicago, but here in Puerto Rico, like there's people like in every corner selling you an avocado or pineapple or whatever, like onions or whatever. So we like to buy those people too. But the food in Puerto Rico is a huge deal, like a problem, because we don't produce our food. Uh, like very much of the food that we consume comes from other countries, mainly United States and the Dominican Republic.
Interesting.
So that's bad.
Right.
So that's so. But what happens is if we have like we don't have like our own food shortage, because we're always short on food. Like we depend more about how it's going in the United States or in the Dominican Republic, and that's also why we're trying to do this, to grow our own food.
That's really awesome that you're taking that approach to it and trying to do something constructive. And over, this has been a recurring theme that I keep telling Jaira about. I just have a lot of respect for the Puerto Ricans' sense of community and sense of motivation. There's so many people I know that would go, man, I wish that there was some sort of community garden where like people that didn't have land could go and try to grow their own food. Wouldn't that be cool if something like that existed? But over and over, I'm shown examples of you guys just going out and creating it. And I think it's because maybe you're more aware of the problems that you are I guess present in your environment. Because I think we have a lot of the same, or at least similar, food issues here, but people just are unaware of it.
Yes.
One thing that surprised me when I was panic buying back in January or February was Jaira said that her family and her parents already had like water, Goya, rice, all of this stuff in the basement ready to go. And she's like, yeah, that's what you do if you've been in a hurricane, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yes, that's true. I mean, that's true. It's the hurricane, and hurricane is a big trauma. Like for us, it is like that was crazy, man. I cannot tell you about it because it's unimaginable. Like it's crazy, but you prepare for that. Like, and that's also some of the things that I have in mind. And I think we're late already because our garden is so small. If a hurricane comes this year, it's gonna wreck it off. But if it doesn't, we're ready for any other season. And we need to also be like aware of what we plant, because you keep learning from those experiences. I was reading about this this woman that she's into agriculture, and she was saying that it's very important to plant roots in Puerto Rico because we are so hurricanes come here in the island and tropical storms all the time, and those winds, they blow off like plantains and trees, but the things that go into the roots, they don't. So I was learning about these people that when the hurricane came by, they fed the whole community for 2 months because they planted like a lot of roots, because roots are a big part of our diet. Yeah, like ñame,
malanga,
the yams, potato, all of that.
Right.
And we're trying here on the community garden. I'm trying to start planting those. Our neighbors gave us the seeds, so that's great.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yes.
Everybody helps out a little bit. That's great stuff.
Yes, the point.
I love it. Man, yeah, and I hate to even bring it up, but I think that those traumatic types of events sometimes do bring gifts, and I think hopefully the preparation is one of those. And it sounds like you are doing all the right stuff to make sure that you and your community are taken care of, and I think that's a great example that we're trying to set for anybody watching this show too. That's really awesome, and kudos to you. We'd love to see some pictures of the community garden on Instagram
we
or something.
We will. Because now I'm trying to document some projects, some agricultural projects that are going around here, like just like you and us. Like we're trying. People have their own gardens in their houses, and people who are making community gardens. I have a friend of mine that he had like a community garden, like really big, and he's one of the guys who motivated me to do it too. So I'm trying to document those projects because people don't know that they can do it until they see that you can do it on an apartment. I've seen people who have gardens on apartments. You know, you can make it anywhere.
Oh yeah, we started a garden on the 36th floor of an apartment in downtown Chicago. I felt pretty punk rock, you know. I was like, "There's nothing supposed to be growing here. This is awesome."
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's cool too because there's a level where you can just plant the seeds and they know what to do as long as they're wet. But then you can get into all the nutrients and the composting, and I'm a huge nerd, so I love to get into like the nitty-gritty details of these different things, and it's been awesome. And
it's so funny now that you say the Jada's family is about their Goya, because with all this.
Oh, I know.
No, but listen, with the boycott.
Yeah.
Like I was mad about that too, and I was like, yes, let's boycott Goya. But the truth is, I will be eating Goya at least for 2 more years because I have like 1,000 of Goya products in my house.
Same here. Like our pantry is full of Goya, and ain't nobody wasting food.
Like the food that we are saving for hurricane season, it's all Goya.
It's canned.
Everything Goya.
Yeah. I guess so anybody who didn't believe me that I'm actually not watching news, I have no idea what you're talking about. Is there a boycott?
There's a boycott because, well, you can explain if you want. I guess you'll explain it better.
No, you can tell.
There's this boycott because the CEO of Goya was praising Trump recently. And people are pretty much boycotting because that's pretty much the whole deal.
Yeah. He went like I don't know where. I don't think it was the White House, but he was like on the podium right next to Trump, saying that he's done a great job with the pandemic and everything. That he's an example for the world, and that Goya backs him up. And well, it's obviously Goya. Goya is it's a brand that lives and makes their living off the Hispanic community, and obviously the Hispanic community was offended by it, and they're boycotting it. Yes.
Interesting.
Yep.
I had no idea. That.
And I was like, yes, let's boycott Goya, but I'm gonna still eat 2 more years of black beans.
Seriously.
The refried beans. It's like the arroz con gandules. That's one of my favorite dishes now. I mean,
and they are great.
So hey, I guess maybe this just means we'll have to go find a guy on the corner that's selling our veggies now and buy from him instead.
That's good.
Yeah. So maybe this is a good influence, regardless of the political stuff. Interesting. Yeah. So. Well, man, this has been a really, really great talk. Thank you so much for coming on. I feel like we could go for another hour talking about this stuff, but I'm going to try to wrap it up here and just give you one more chance to plug your social media. Let me go back to your page here. Everybody, this is Adrinson's Facebook page.
Yes, you can look me at Adrinson. Adrinson on Facebook, and Ayanes Hernandez on Instagram, and it's better if you put my website on the link because it's long.
That's okay. Yeah, we'll link everything for people.
And thank you guys so much for the opportunity. I love talking to you, and I hope
likewise.
they come to Puerto Rico after the pandemic. Obviously.
Yeah, we gotta take some medallas together, right?
Oh yes.
Oh, I know, right? That's the
I've heard so much.
yeah, the
about
Puerto Rican
it.
beer.
I know.
You've had medallas, right?
He hasn't had medalla. I don't think so.
Oh
Never
my
tried.
God, Jada, you need to. I'll send you some medallas.
Send me
'cause-
some.
Yeah, I'll send you some medallas.
I'm already sold on the Cafe Rico Rico, so
Café Lareño, Café Mami, like I'm hooking him up with the good stuff.
yeah.
Oh my God.
You guys know coffee, so now I gotta try the beer.
Yes, we need to try the beer.
Yes, I'd love to visit. I'm practicing my Spanish, so I can come and try to speak with you guys. And you've done an awesome job. Thank you again for being our first guest. And you know,
guys.
everybody, please go give this guy a follow and a like on his Facebook pages and pay attention to his great work. And hey, I think this calls for a garden update, maybe in a month or so.
Yes, let's do that. Yes.
Do it.
We'd love to have you back on. So
All right. Will do.
Awesome. Okay, with that, thank you everybody, and this is going to conclude episode 3 of
La Tertulia.
Thank you one more time to Adrinson. Thank you to Jada. My name's Clayton, and everybody, please go check out the HebrewisCorner.com website. Give us a follow on Facebook. Give us a follow on Instagram. Those are really, really helpful free ways that you can support us. The more followers and likes that we have, the more people our pages are put in front of. So if you have a couple seconds to do that, we'd really appreciate you doing that. Same thing with this podcast and with this YouTube channel. And until next time, stay tuned, and thank you very much.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.